Heavenly Father and Jehovah, the creator of the seen and unseen, Father, we come before you humbly this hour, confessing our deep need for your wisdom and light in the midst of the garden of choice to spread before us. So I pray to you, O Lord, you have planted a garden of Eden, abundant, pure, and filled with every tree pleasant to thy sight, was good for food. Yet in our journey, we have wandered also through the wilderness, where the old serpent has sown counterfeit gardens, blending false fruits among the good, offering what seems right in the eyes, but lead us away from your voice. So, Father, I praise to you, Father, to have mercy on us where things that are seen and have blinded our eyes and our spirits, and allured of convenience, the promises of man's advancement, subtle whispers of other gods that dimmed our hearts and dulled our hearing to the calling of your spirit. So we are easily drawn to the visible and tangible, often forgetting, Father, that your wisdom is given to those who seek you, the ones who listen, the ones who walk not by sight but by faith. So we ask, Father, in the name of Jehovah, to open our spiritual eyes, O Lord. Remove the scales of deception from each and every one of us, that we might discern the difference between bread you reign from heaven, from the artificial manner that is in this world. Teach us, Father, in the wilderness of our daily choices to heed to your voice above all. For in obedience is our life and protection. Help us to recognize that the serpent is still among these trees, crafting replicas of false provision, right within the garden, exalting himself as God. I ask, Father, yet you, O Lord, alone, are our deliverer and the true provider of every barren place. So I ask to grant each and every one of us to seek your living provisions and to reject the matrix of this artificial creation that promises much but brings only spiritual property. And when tempted by what is quick, easy, and abundant, let your word echo that man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of you, O God. And guard us from the dependence on the things that kill our discernment, and to restore us to hunger for your presence, to fear your name. Oh Lord, as you led Israel through the wilderness and promised to shield them from the plagues that struck Egypt, if they only will obey your statutes. So I ask, Father, to shield us today. Let us not fall prey to the diseases of this new Egypt, nor snared by the seductive voice of the false gardener that stir in the hearts to hear your voice and to follow wherever you lead. For you have said, Father, this is the way, walk in it. So I pray, Father, I pray to you, even as those that are still blind in this matrix of these appearances, I ask that you grant each and every one of us, Father, to reawaken, to see the double garden, and to choose you, the source of life. Deliver us all from this spiritual sleep. Revive us, Father. Revive our spirits to prepare to stand as wheat in your field, so you can harvest us in the time to come. The spiritual truth guide us. This narrow way, renew our minds and keep our lamps filled with oil, discernment. So we will not be found wanting at your coming. Let our lives reflect your glory and your choices. Honor your creation. And our hearts remain faithful to your voice alone. So I pray this, Father. This I pray in the name of Jehovah, your true bridegroom. This I pray. Amen. And shalom, everyone. Shalom. I want to welcome everyone to the house of the lost sheep of Israel. And before we get started, we do have a few announcements the deacons wanted me to make known. And also, I try to remember to make sure I make it after also before we go into class today. But one, the deacons, they want to make sure that we are opening the doors for some other brothers to come in to teach. So if you're looking to teach over here and you've been over here for a while learning and you're looking to teach here, I need you to also meet us in Zoom today. So I'll be looking for that. And then also I want to make sure for the baptism team, okay, the emails went out to everybody who's already registered for the first fruits. So now what we're doing, we're looking for all the people, because I know they're going to end up saying it. I believe the deadline is the 20th or the 22nd, something like that. So everyone who have registered, make sure you send in your registration for it, and it's $75 to secure the room. So make sure that is sent in before the deadline, because if we only have I believe 4 days. So make sure that that's done, and please making sure that you're taking care of that. It's 20. I see they put it in there. So it's the 22nd. So make sure if you have not paid the 75, make sure you get that sent in to make sure that it be taken care of. Because all those things we got to make sure it's done. And with that, come there, because we don't want any issues. Which I'm gonna kind of explain a lot of that when we get in Zoom. I will take care of that business part there. And we'll have that going on. Now also, we're going to go into the pretty woman after the this lesson here, and also with the kids class for the university for the children. So we got a lot of things still going on. We have a lot of people that we have down here for the presentation, so we'll be looking forward to that. And then also the brothers that came back in from the war, highly victorious in what they do, detail in what they was able to do. I was highly disappointed in some of the things that I heard, meaning how people even see God. I was highly disappointed, especially on the one I heard that Elder Lynn did. If you want to hear it, please. Beautiful lessons all week. And some of the things, it really bothers you. And that one really, that one bothered the mess out of me on what I seen, what they was doing. So, you try to sit there and even though I'm more upset about things that people teach people, it's just disturbing to see how people can sit there and put the Most High on the level as a person. I try to understand it and I just can't. So, beautiful thing what the brothers did, the deacons, and Brother Noriah, when I little young warriors. A beautiful thing, but it's still saddening at the same time to see people like that spiral down a hole like that. Which also takes us right to this here. So I need my wife, my spiritual daughters. I know my daughter, she gonna catch it later. she be saying I'll be up to her. I don't get it, but I need everybody to stay real close today. A lot of things gonna be spoken about and gonna be shown to you. However, as I'm speaking, some things going to be plain, but then it's going to be kind of complicated. It's going to be plain to you, but it's going to make you truly think. And I don't want you to get lost. So I need everybody to stay pretty close on what's going on. The reason I say my spiritual daughters need to be close, because they know I'm going to question them later. So they're not going to get out of this. They're going to get questioned later. And see, and I'm going to make sure they understand what they need to understand. So with that, we want to understand exactly what is going on with this matrix, the revelations. And when we, as a group, and we can say we are seekers of wisdom. We're seekers of wisdom. Can we agree with that? We are seekers of wisdom. We're trying to understand what it takes for us to inherit eternal life. Can we agree with that? The reason why, so we assemble not just to hear the words, but to enter into the chambers of Jehovah to reveal counsel in this sacred, this precinct, this where his thoughts is unveiled through the dark similitudes, the shadows, the parables. And yet, I need you to know this. Many of us come as blind men groping in noonday. I want to open this up. We want to get to the Bible. Let's get to the Bible and let's look at something. I want to show you something. We're going to start here at Isaiah 59, but I want to pick this up at verse 10. We want to look at this right here. It says, we grope for the wall like the blind, and we grope as if we had no eyes. We stumble at noonday, and as the night, we are in desolate places. as dead men. Seeking to comprehend the mysteries that stretch beyond the boundaries of mortal understanding. So for the depths of this prophetic revelations, Jehovah speaks through Isaiah here. You see it. And shatters the very foundation of men's understanding. And establish this eternal schism between divine and mortal comprehension. I want to show you this, and we want to pull up one more. Titus, we're going to look at Isaiah. Again, we're going to go to 55. And once we get to 55, we want to go down to 8. And we're going to pick up 8 and 9 here. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are my ways your ways, saith the Lord, saith the Spirit of God. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. This declaration, it should echo the corridors of eternal and a devastating clarity on where we actually stand. So with this divine pronouncement, it does not merely even thinks about or even suggest the difference in perspective between the Creator and the creation, but it establishes this infinite gulf that man's intellect cannot bridge through natural means. Through, like Job, we must confess our ignorance. The vastness of its design, we've been granted glimpses of this 7 progressive visions of sovereignty, this framework, this spiritual inheritance, this birthright, this transfer of this matrix. What we want to understand. It's what we came to. So with this similitude we want to look at, we want to understand it. And as we try to understand this, it's immeasurable in heights. Immeasurable. The operation of the system, this divine consciousness, what we got to look at, we have to understand a few things. Even what he said, my thoughts. So even with the word thought, I want everybody to understand, with the word just thought, it encompasses not just the mental process, but it's an entire framework of reasoning, planning, and understanding. It governs and exists in itself. This is what we have to see. We have to pay attention to that. So when Jehovah declares his thoughts are not man's thoughts, it reveals that the very operational system is divine consciousness, functions according to the principles that transcends and will contradict every time man's logic. Everybody follow me. I want you to stay with me, because even though some things are going to sound simple, they can be extremely complex. So same thing, his thoughts are not man's thoughts, but that reveals the same thing. So his thoughts contradicts our thoughts. So this birthright, this transfer, this matrix, a divinely ordained mechanism we're looking at. By the spiritual authority, this heritage, the blessings are now conveyed, operational according to the divine system, not by presumption of flesh and blood. And I'm going to get into that. Nor by lineage alone, but Jehovah's immutable determination according to this eternal statutes. And it's always rooted. Always. It's rooted in law, governed through Moses, confirmed by the prophets, and magnified in the writings that you see in the Bible. Everybody follow me. I want you to stay with me as we're going through this. Stay with me. Because the spiritual function, this transfer is based on his covenant order. The covenant order is very intricate, because our inheritance is not sized or is not even seized. We can't just seize something by who we are, but receive by the rightful appointment. So no man can alter what Jehovah has decreed. He said this in Ezekiel 21:27. Watch how he says it. He says, I will overturn it until shall be no more. Until he, this person, come, who right it is, I will give it him. This should be a wake-up call for anybody. Because this transfer within the birthright, this transfer, this matrix, is an execution. It is executed by divine mandate, meaning he's going to overturning all lawful and all unlawful contaminants. So any claimant who's sitting there saying they have a right, he's going to overturn that unlawful claimant. He's overturning that. Every unworthy steward, until the inheritance rests in the hands of the one who Jehovah have lawfully appointed. I don't care how we look at this. This is why every moment in the matrix operates as a legal precision, a perfect balance of mercy and judgment, ensuring that each transfer preserves the sanctity of his words in the boundaries he has established from the beginning. You follow me? So he's overturning. So this overturning parable of birthright, we have to understand the similitudes of the king and his inheritance. We have to keep these in mind. Meaning more of this. Let's say, let's look at it this way. Say there's great estate within this dominion of the sovereign person. And his boundaries is fixed. I want you to stay with me on this. His boundaries is fixed from the days of old in its unalterable degree. He can't change it. Whoever this king is, he cannot change it. So the king appoints a steward. Keep this in mind. The steward is supposed to be each and every one of us. And it tends to this estate. But know what we need to do. Not as owners, but we should be caretakers of this estate. Everybody follow me. Everybody with me. I want you to stay with me on this. So if we are caretakers of this estate, this body, it shouldn't be no graffiti on it. It shouldn't be treated with whoredom. None of these things should be there. Do everybody agree? Do everybody agree? So when we go into this fixed thing, this unalterable degree, the king appointed a steward, us, you. So we appointed this, but not as owners, but as caretakers under the covenant. So when we look at this, the steward, what happens with a lot of us, stewards, we'll grow presumptuously. You follow me? A lot of us grew presumptuously. We got presumptuous. We couldn't help it. Some did it ignorantly, some did it knowingly. So because what we did, laying hands that which was not his. We put our things on what was not ours, claiming ownership by presumption of possession. You follow me? I want you to stay with me. So when the king, he decreed this, and if anyone did not rightfully understand what went on, and they rightfully sit there and condemn by themselves what they did, there's hope. But if you didn't do it, Ezekiel 21:27 is there. I will overturn it. It shall be no more until he whose right it is, I will give it him. You follow me? You follow me? So the first overturn, I want you to write it down. The first overturn come as judgment. The first overturn come as judgment. It's stripping the unfaithful steward, for he has assumed title as ownership. Everybody with me? That's why the first overturn happened. Then we have a second overturn. And the second overturn came as cleansing, removal of all corrupt structures erected in defiance of the king's law. This is what happened. You with me? So we have to understand this. The third overturn came as restoration, clearing the way for the rightful heir to enter and take possession. So you look at this, the spiritual function, every transfer within the birthright transfer matrix is this. I want you to write it down. No inheritance is ever seized in the kingdom of God, only received by lawful appointment. I'm going to say it again. No inheritance for you and I is ever seized in the kingdom of God. Only we can receive this by a lawful appointment. No man, no ruler, or power of flesh can prevent that degree of Jehovah from finding its appointed vessel. Every unlawful claimant is overturned. Now you follow me? Every counterfeit title is erased. Many of us have sat there and did things to our bodies that is unreal, that made no sense. Because we call ourselves taking title to something that don't belong to us. We were just appointed stewards. Every usurped removed until the one whom Jehovah has chosen remains. Let's look at something. This overturning principle. Let's look at something. Overturning principle. I want you to think about this. In ensuring the birthright, it rests on the hands of the lawful heir. See, this is not by accident. That's number one. It's not by accident. So take that out the way. And it's not by ambition. Take that out the way. Or by advantage. You'll see what's happening here. So the rightful heir is not by accident. The rightful heir is not by ambition. The rightful heir is not by advantage. All those are removed. But by covenant order, each movement within the matrix, what we are in right now, operates as legal precision, a perfectly equilibrium of mercy and judgment. So it's upholding the sanctity of Jehovah's word, preserving the eternal boundaries he set at the beginning. So the similitude is this. The similitude is this. The overturn is not chaos, but correction. You see it there. I will overturn. It's not chaos, but it's correction, not destruction, but purification. So he's not stripping away of blessings, but it's the removal of unlawful hands that the blessing may be given until the fullness of the one ordained from the foundation of the world to receive it. Everybody follow me? So it's written, and so he executed it. Shall it be established forever. Overturned until the rightful owner is revealed. In him shall it be given. So you see, this is not complex. But we have to look at the similitude of height. We have to look at that. Because remember his thought is higher than ours. So when we look at this, we have to look at as the height. So as the heavens is higher than the earth, provides a straightforward metaphor for the spiritual reality that really defines measurement. Even this comparison falls short. of true magnitude in the difference. So while the distance between heaven and the difference between earth can be calculated, but the distance between Jehovah and man's thoughts always will remain immeasurable. The word even higher reveals that is not just an elevation, but exaltation, supremacy, incomparable greatness. It places divine thoughts in a realm entirely beyond man's reach. So within the exalted realm, the matrix operates through what could appear as man understanding is paradoxical reversals. If you think about that. We look at these things, but they become scattered. Scattered becomes the gathered. The curse becomes the blessed. The substitute becomes the substantial. Judgment becomes the mercy. You follow me? See, this operation transcends human logic and functions according to the higher mathematics of divine wisdom. That's why you have to look at that. Scattered becomes gathered. Curse becomes blessed, and substitute becomes substantial. And judgment becomes mercy. So we have to understand that. This is a unshakable truth that stands as the cornerstone, the foundation of spiritual revelation. That's what we're doing. So this unshakable truth stands as a cornerstone, the first chief cornerstones, which is the dark similitude, are laid, for it establishes the revelation that operates through spiritual laws. It functions, it transcends normal comprehension, appearing as mysteries and paradox, but the defined foolishness when perceived through the carnal mind. This is how it works. When we look for revelation, it operates through spiritual laws and functions that transcends normal and natural comprehension, and it always going to appear as mysteries, paradoxes, and divine foolishness when perceived through the carnal mind. Paul talked about that. It actually says it here. Let's look at it. It's right here. 1 Corinthians, we're going to look at this. 1 Corinthians 1:25. It says, because the foolish things of God is wiser than men, and the weakness of God is stronger than men. Interesting, isn't it? The cornerstone reveals that Jehovah operates in a spiritual inversion. So his kingdom functions upon laws that overturns earthly understandings. So what natural man perceives as strength, spirit of Jehovah reveals as spiritual weakness. What appears as divine weakness become manifestations of unconquerable spiritual strength. You guys, you understand it? So the similitude become this sacred language of revelations, a mode where divine instruction that conceals truth from the profane while unveiling mysteries to the covenant that's prepared hearts. I'm telling you, it's a trip. See, because I'm going to tell you right now, a lot of people are going to sit there and say they understand this, and they really don't. See, if you don't understand it, you don't understand. You just say you don't understand, but don't sit there and play the game with me. We're here to teach. If you're here to learn, then you want to understand. If you want to understand, then if you don't understand something, you sit there and say you don't. Don't say, oh, I understand. That's ignorance. It's ignorance. The birthright transfer in the matrix. Each dark similitude functions as both spiritual veil and divine keys, protecting the sanctity of holy mysteries from carnal intrusions. We have to understand this, while unlocking depths of truth to those who approach through covenant obedience and spiritual preparations. So through shadow revelations, we discern eternal patterns of Jehovah overturning power. And what I see here, all I have to do is flip a switch. And we're going to get this full understanding. Even though I'm talking Well, I'm talking pretty plain to me, but don't worry. I'm gonna switch up a lot of stuff to where we can all understand this together. Because we have to look at besides going another way, we're gonna look at the Egyptian matrix, and we're gonna look at a Levitical matrix, and we're gonna look at a substitution matrix. To try to put all this together, which some of it I was going to do on one, which is the Egyptian, but I'm going to put the other two together. I'm going to put the Levitical matrix and I'm going to do a substitution matrix to where we can really get this. You follow me? But you got to be straightforward with me. When you're not straightforward, I just move forward. So we got to look at this. The similitude function, we're looking at the Egyptian matrix. The Egyptian matrix. So the natural eye, Pharaoh, when he enslavement. So Jehovah covenant people is manifest as an unbreakable demonstration of worldly dominion. I want you to follow me with this. Stay close to me. And a throne establishes through a type of military might. So this can be sustained by the oppression of a righteous people. You follow me? Watch what happens. But yet, in the spiritual reality, this apparent strength was Pharaoh's divinely appointed weakness. It's a switch off. He thought it was a dominion, but that was showing his weakness. The very system he trusted became an instrument to his spiritual destruction. So when Jehovah executed judgment upon the Egyptians' firstborn, this is all within the house, he demonstrated a spiritual principle that earthly power structures are temporary veils over eternal divine sovereignty. So look at it this way. Weakness of Jehovah allowing his people to endure 4 centuries. Think about that, 4 centuries. In this affliction, when was the spiritual truth of divine preparation, the appointment season for this, his supremacy over all principalities, all powers will be eternally established. And this is the one I was sitting there telling you about. But I'm gonna put a couple of scriptures with it. We already have here what I was gonna go into, but I'm gonna have to show you the Levitical and also the substitution to where we can all get it. So the same thing is when we're looking at the spiritual principle. So we're going to look at this, and we're going to see this in 12:12, in Exodus 12:12. And then I'm going to have to go into the other two to make sure you guys get it. So that's no problem. Don't have a problem with that. But the affliction of the righteous becomes the spiritual courtroom. The affliction of the righteous becomes the spiritual courtroom, wherein Jehovah renders eternal judgment upon the oppressor, transforming suffering into a testimony. You can't tell me the Most High ain't. This spirit is no joke. Look at this. Look at this spiritual court. He says, I will pass through the land of Egypt this night and will smite all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast, and against all the gods of Egypt. Anybody calling themselves in power, I will execute judgment. I am the Lord. Look at this. We're going to go over here to Psalms 105, but we're going to look at 14. I'm going to also pick up 15 because we're going to need it now. He says, he suffered no man to do them wrong. He suffered no man to do them wrong. Yea, he reproved the kings for their sakes, saying, touch not my anointed and do my prophets no harm. He is not playing here. He is not here to play a game. But we have to look at the other two because I want to make sure we understand this. So we want to look at the Levitical side of this matrix. Because when we're looking at the carnal understanding of the tribes of Levi scattered throughout all Israel, keep that in mind. They scattered throughout all Israel. So they were scattered throughout all Israel, but we've seen where all these other tribes receive inheritance land. Okay, Levi didn't get any without territorial inheritance. I want you to keep that in mind. So we have to understand how this matrix is working to where we can get a better understanding about ourselves. That's all I'm doing. I want you to get a better understanding about what you are about. So this divine punishment, it's a removal of earthly security. You say, what? Yeah, it's a removal of earthly security. You don't have territorial inheritance here. You guys don't have that. It appears as divine punishment. It's going to appear to you that way. Can you all agree with that? You just I for yes and N for no, but it's going to appear because you have no earthly inheritance. None of you guys. Get that through your head. It's going to appear as divine punishment, but it's a removal of earthly security, immaterial blessings. So yet Jehovah's decree is transformed this apparent loss into the highest form of spiritual possession. I'm going to show it to you. I want you to see this. I want you to see what I'm talking about. And as we're going through this, we looking at this and we're going through it and we're going to see through. We're going to look at what's going on. And actually, it's highlight. It says, "And the Lord spake unto Aaron, thou shalt have no inheritance in their land." So we don't have no inheritance here. Neither shall thou have any part among them. So we can't even get a crumb. We can't get nothing. Nothing. He says, "I am thy part and thy inheritance among the children of Israel." So even though we're among the children of Israel, we ain't got nothing. So the foolishness of denying priestly earthly territories ensured their universal spiritual inheritance. They belong to the tribes throughout the sacred service, and all the tribes participated in the holy calling. Their dwelling transcend these geographical boundaries, being established in sanctuaries. So their inheritance is surpassed material acres. Well, the younger people might don't know, but you'll see the older people, well, I wanted my 40 acres and a mule. Have you heard that? You used to hear that all the time. I want my 40 acres and a mule. I want my 40 acres and a mule. Interesting. But if it's part of this, you have no inheritance here. It's consisting of direct access to Jehovah's presence. So you even hear a famous saying, which a lot of us heard even growing up. A famous saying is, "Ends, go home." Haven't you heard that? You ends, go home. They say it even today. You ends, go home. Tell me they don't say it. But we have to remember one thing. We are just passing through. We just passing through. So what is withheld in the temporary realm, which they thinking they holding us from, is granted abundantly in the eternal realm. So the absence of earthly possession becomes the divine guarantee of perpetual spiritual inheritance. It's revealed through the spiritual wealth that transcends material blessings. Now you catch that. But we got to get a little bit more. Because we got to look at the substitution. We have to look at the substitution of this. Because when we're looking at that, actually, let me pull this up. I want to pull this up. Numbers. In Numbers 3 and 12. I want to look at this. Actually, I want to run two of these. Because I want you to look at this. Because the substitution of Levites, of all the firstborn of Israel, appeared. And through natural reasoning, and we have to look at this even as a mathematical impossibility. One tribe bearing a legal and spiritual responsibility for every firstborn male throughout the nation. So when we're looking at this divine mathematics, the spiritual representation transcends this numeral calculation. So one sanctified tribe becomes the lawful embodiment of an entire firstborn covenant obligation. It's a trip, ain't it? Let's look at something. We'll see this in Numbers 3 and 12. And I'm actually grab 13. It says, and I, remember, I have taken the Levites from among the children of Israel instead of all the firstborn that opened the matrix among the children of Israel. Did everybody catch that? I'll say it again if you want me to say it again. It's telling you, he says, I have taken the Levites from among the children of Israel instead of, in replacement of, all the firstborn that opened the matrix among the children of Israel. Do you want me to read it again if you want me to read it again? Therefore, for that reason, the Levites shall be mine. Boom. Mic drop. That's a mic drop. The Levites are mine. Because all the firstborn are mine. For on that day, I smote all the firstborn. Did you catch it? I smote all the firstborn in the land of bondage, in the house of bondage. And I hallowed unto me the firstborn in Israel. Those Levites. Both man, beast, mine they shall be. I am the Spirit of God. Mic drops. Those are mic drops. So we're looking at this and we understand it. So weakness when we're looking at this numerical, this numeral way. I want to show you a couple of things because we got to look at the weakness of this. And we'll see this in Solomon. Let's look at Wisdom of Solomon. I want to show you in two places. Wisdom of Solomon, 18:21. And also, I want to put one more with this. I'm going to put Hebrews 9:12. Okay. So I want to put those two with it. Because we have to look at the minority of this transfer into strength in this universal redemption. So we have to establish in this eternal principle. We want to understand what's happening with this substitution. That one righteous offering can redeem a multitude through spiritual substitution. Okay? Let's look at something. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 18, looking at verse 21, it says, For then the blameless man made haste and stood forth to defend them, and to bring the shield in a proper ministry, even prayer, in the appropriation of incense set himself against the wrath. So that he brought the calamity to an end, declaring that he was thy servant. Exactly the point. Hebrews 9:12, it says, neither by blood of goats, neither by the lifestyle of goats and cows, but by his own lifestyle. He entered in once into the separated place, having obtained eternal redemption for us. That's why this substitution happened. This law of substitution operates not through equal exchange, but through appointed, sacrificed vessels to bear spiritual standings for many. This reveals the mystery of this vicarious righteousness, this covenant, this representation. We have to understand the cornerstone on what we're doing. We have to understand this. We have to get back to this. Back to that right there. Because each part of the matrix is the cornerstone, the principle, and it's going to always spiritually be unshakable. Always. Jehovah's wisdom is constructed in every element. Natural understanding despised in its strength manifests through what carnal reasoning declares weakness. What they declare is weakness. So these dark similitudes is not like intellectual puzzles, we can say, but they are sacred blueprints of eternal governance, visible only to those who approach through the covenant of obedience and spiritual preparation. So when we're looking at this, we have to understand that the cornerstone demands that each and every one of us surrender our definition of his own divine understanding. We have to surrender ours. Because for only when we accept his understanding, that's why he's saying this. I will overturn it. And it shall be no more until he whose right it is. And I will give it him. So first we have to be humble. Humble confession and be seekers of that. Are we doing that? Are we? Are we doing that? Think it within yourselves. Are we doing that? So as we approach these mysteries, those we see through this glass darkly, acknowledging not even the highest understanding remains but shadows of true reality. You follow me? Let me bring this a little bit closer to you. In 1 Corinthians, we're going to let Paul explain this. In 1 Corinthians chapter 13, 12, it's telling you, for now we see through a glass darkly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, full thought, but then shall I know even as also I am known. Wow. Interesting. Acknowledging even the highest understanding of the shadows of this reality. So we have to look at this revealed counsel, not open to intellectual prowess, but a spiritual preparation. Our hearts has to be humbled before infinite distance between the Creator and His creation. So we stand in the place where revelation meets appointment. You follow me? Revelation meets appointment. So where the birthright to transfer unfolds, not as man's transaction, but as a heavenly adjudication conduct. Not as though as our thoughts. We will witness how the Most High removes the unfaithful. How His sacred trust, exalting those whose obedience proves them heirs in works and in deeds. Even yet these witnesses come through the dark similitudes were both revealed and concealed according to divine wisdom. Hopefully we get in this, understanding this, because we have to look at this declaration. So we got to let this great declaration be sealed. This great declaration is going to be sealed. It's going to happen. And I'm trying to run through it another way, making sure that we take it a whole other direction to where we understand it. 147 verse 5, it tells us something. It says, great is our Lord and of great power. His understanding is infinite. His understanding is infinite. So we enter to this precinct in confessing Jehovah's thoughts and not our thoughts. His ways is the very category of man's understanding. It transcends ours. So this birthright, this transfer of the matrix is operated through divine mathematics in this synthesized apparent, this contradiction is undefined of this eternal purpose. But we have to understand with the calculations visible only through Jehovah's, whose understanding is infinite. So as we sit here, we look at this. We look at it, we try to understand it, we trying to get 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 it. But we got to think about something. In Jehovah's court, in his courtroom, inheritance is not sacred by bloodline alone. It's not sacred by bloodline alone, but by faithfulness to the covenant. Did you catch it? Really pay attention when I say or I craft words a certain way. In his courtroom, by blood, it just allows you to be in the room. By blood, it only allows you to be in the room. Not as though the word of God is taking none effect, for they are not all Israel which are of Israel. And you should know that by heart. So just by inheritance, it's not sacred by bloodline alone, but by faithfulness to the covenant. You follow me? So faithfulness is measured by
by standards higher than man's standards and tested through trials beyond man's design. Every vision is unfolding serves as a witness against rebellion and sealed upon the obedient. Each stage is divine act in the unbroken chain of his governance from the beginning until the end. So we, as a people, we as Israel, we need to enter with reverence, knowing that we approach mysteries is wrapped in shadows. I've been talking about this. I've been talking about this for a minute now. Truth that requires spiritual excavation, unearth their treasures. We come not as judges of divine operation, but as recipients in whatever light is that he gives us. The Almighty chooses to grant thoughts, darkness, similitudes, his divine teachings, tools that protect sacred knowledge while transmitting eternal wisdom to the prepared hearts that he chooses to give it to. We understand this. So we have to look at this thing. This infinite gulf remains. His thoughts transcends our thoughts. His ways always surpasses our ways. Yet his mercy, he condescends to communicate through shadows, similitudes, granting glimpses of eternal counsel. In those who approach in the proper spiritual preparation, is granted this. Let me do something. And we want to go to, I believe it's Habakkuk 2:20. We will look at something, Habakkuk 2:20. I want you to understand something. And this is a piece of text from this prophet. It says, but the Lord, the Spirit of God, is in his holy temple. So you tell me, he's making this statement. He's going to clarify it. But if he's saying, but the Lord is in his holy temple, so I need for you, each and every one of you guys, put in there, so where is he? Where is the Spirit of God? If he's in his holy temple, you put in there in one word or two words, where is he? Don't give me no sentence, because then you just let me know that you don't make any sense at all. It should be no more than one or two words where he is. But I guarantee you somebody's going to put a sentence in there. It'll shock me if they don't. It'll shock me if it don't. Okay. Exactly the point. Exactly the point. It's in you. If he's supposed to be in you, I want you to think about this. If he's supposed to be in you, dwelling in me is not, no. It should be only one or two words. One or two words at the most. That don't make any sense. What is this stuff? Boy, my little girl Cammy. I'm gonna have to steal that little girl. I'm gonna have to steal her. I'm gonna steal her. Telling you. I know what she like. I know what she like. My heart. That's his temple. Let all the earth keep silence before him. It's clear. This is clear. All right, yeah. That's where he's dwelling. He's dwelling in your heart. It's in you. It's in your heart. So I want you to understand something. But everybody did beautiful jobs from where it is. It's in you. It's in your heart. It's in your heart. This unveiling, this sovereign framework, knowing that even our greatest comprehension remains but the finest echo, in its immeasurable thoughts. So when we're looking at this great declaration, this unsealed, this infinite distance is knowledge, this incomprehensible is confessed, this mercy endures greatness, this is granting light through darkness, this similitudes of those who seek with trembling hearts. That's why it's going with trembling hearts, because you want him to dwell there. You want him to dwell there. So I want to invite you guys to something. And this is a way, actually, I got to remember when it was. But I want to explain something. I want to re-explain something to you, because this will help us as we go through it. It was a few years back, I was talking about divine nature, the similitudes of divine communication. And some people might know right where it is. I'm going to tell you, I can't tell you. I'm being honest. I can't tell you. But I talked about 432 hertz sound. I have teachings on this. You can actually even go look at this. I don't know how many years back, 5, 6, I don't know. But I have teachings on it about the 432 hertz. So it resonates, of heavenly patterns, it resonates. And I want to explain it to you, because it's going to help me explain the revelation and also the matrix for you. And why I'm literally going, but I just, people be acting like I be doing, you remember you did it? I sure don't remember. I can't remember. But when we're looking at divine patterns, it's encoded within Jehovah's similitude. It resonates at frequencies. And I want to explain that, because I'm going to go back to it and look at it. I see somebody put it in there, the Michael Jackson teaching. So that's it right there. So a lot of what I'm going to say, I gotta help you to where we can help this. So we have to look at that, because it's going to help us do what I need, what I'm trying to tell you. But I know I did a teaching on it. So it's operating through what we might understand as sacred harmonic. So at 432 hertz, this is a frequency that ancient wisdom, it's a tradition, is recognized by divine renaissance. So we want to look at that way, or look at frequency of creation. We're just going to take it a little step deeper. Going to go a little bit deeper with this. But this frequency is discovered as a sacred site. It is worldwide and is measured. The chambers of these temples, it's measured in pyramids. It's measured, but it represents this vibration. It's a signature thought. And it's a signature through heavenly realities. They look at it as communicating earthly understandings. So when we examine even biblical foundation, we discover that sound itself, the sound itself, was first the creative force. I'm going to show it to you. Sound. I'm going to show it to you. We'll see it here. And God said, let there be light. It's interesting, ain't it? The first vibration that was brought forth to all existence. The Hebrew mystical tradition teaches that divine name itself vibrate the frequencies and created a reality. Just on that alone, let there be light. It shows you this. Each letter of the alphabet carries its own vibrational signature that builds the architecture of creation. Think about that. It's really crazy when you really think about it. So Jehovah's method of concealed revelation is why I have to take you this direction. Because we had so many no's, I had to take you in this direction. But it's easily explained, so we might have to do another one to where I can finish out what I wanted to show you, but I've got to make sure everybody understands what we're talking about. So I want you to look at this. I want you to see what happened. He says, I have spoken by my prophets, this vibration of sound. I have multiplied visions through this sound, and I use similitudes through sound by the ministry of the prophets. It's crazy. Crazy. So we're looking at similitudes, not just comparison, this divine frequency patterns, spiritual architectures through heavenly realities transmit these vibrational essence of earthly consciousness. So the pattern operates under the same fundamental frequency. These sites that's naturally resonate at 432 hertz. It's crazy. It's a trip when you look at it. So he uses this to bridge between temporal and eternal realms. Jehovah operates through Scripture. He operates through Scripture. I'm going to show you. I'm telling you, it's a trip. We just want to go deeper with it. In Psalms, looking at 78 verse 2, watch what he says here. I'm telling you, it's all here. 78 verse 2. He says, I will open my mouth in a parable. He's going to vibrate it in a parable, in orthodox sayings of old. Wow. You see it here. So we're looking at that, these mysteries, these vibrational shadows, these truths, these require, it's like a spiritual spiritual tunement, not atonement, tunement to perceive their harmonic frequencies. As psalmists even declare, I will open my mouth in a parable, orthodox sayings of old. So these similitudes, they function as spiritual tuning forks, resonating only in the hearts that are prepared to receive their frequency. You follow me? See, I told y'all, a lot of y'all told y'all I can sing. I told all y'all before, I can sing. I'm just like Luther. But y'all say, nah, he can't sing. I sing just like Luther. Because y'all understand my tuning for it. Y'all understand my tuning for it. So we have to look at that, and even with this dual resonant function. It revealed the divine, this harmonic, this spiritually tuned to receive them. So it conceals this sacred frequency of those who will corrupt or profane their vibrational purity. So when we're looking at just 432, is believed to be the frequency measured in the moment of birth. I'm talking, this literally how far they took this. Representing pure innocence before this ego's interference. The dark sayings of old require recipients to return into the state of spiritual innocence, where the divine instructions can be received without the static human presumptions that people teach in. Think about this. I want you to think about something. Christ's word echoes this principle. It echoes this principle. It sings this frequency. What do he say? Become like little children. Christ says it, and you see him saying it through Yahushua. You got to become like little children. So we have to return to the original frequency to trust the spiritual receptivity. You catch it? I hope you caught it. Let's look at something. Let's go a little bit closer. Let's go a little bit closer. Let's take this a little bit. Let's look at this. I want to show you something. And everybody should get this. In Numbers chapter 12 and verse 8. Numbers 12 and 8. I want to show you something. He says, with him I speak mouth to mouth, even apparently not in dark speeches. In the similitude of the Lord shall he behold, shall he remember. Wherefore, you are not afraid to speak against my servant Moses. So we have to look at, while other prophets receive visions through veiled frequencies and dark similitudes, Moses alone, by himself, beheld a direct manifestation of divine presence, receiving communication at the purest, unfiltered frequency of divine truth. That's crazy. Moses, why do you think he was shining like a light when he came down? I'm telling you, it's crazy. Think about this. I want you to think about something. This revealed a couple of things for me. I want you to write some of them down. But this revealed a couple of things for me. Even thinking about this. Just thinking about this, and over the time, I go through these different things. But I want you to understand, just with that verse alone, when you think about it, you think about Moses. Moses had this clear channel, this direct divine frequency of face-to-face communication without riddles. Direct access to this, what they want to call 432 divine frequency without interpretive veils. Moses, this spiritual receiver, perfectly calibrated to receive this unmutilated divine transmission. Moses. And you have people talk against Moses. I don't get it. Then you have prophets, these visionary channels, similitude frequencies. So when you're looking at prophets, visionary channels, we have to also look at similitude frequencies. So even if my moderators, I know they're taking notes, but if they can just take the time and put that in there. I want to put in a couple more to where I want to explain it to where we can get it. But just put prophets, the visionary channel, parentheses, similitude frequency. I just want you to put that there, because I want to explain something for it. So prophets, the visionary channel, because they're going to give you the vision. And then you put in parentheses, similitude frequency. I appreciate it. And actually the person over the moderators, before I even go any further, he said, please, because I forgot that he wanted me to make that announcement, please, if you're not on the moderator team, do not put anything in the chat to say anything. He actually said that in one of the meetings we had. So if you're not part of the moderating team, don't put anything in there, unless you're part of the moderating team. So we'll wait for the moderators to put that, but I'm going to go ahead and start talking. So through visions and the dark similitudes requiring spiritual interpretation, so receiving divine truth through the 432 hertz harmonic resonance of the sacred symbols, it shadows revelations. It's going to always shadows revelations. So the spiritual receivers are tuned to decode the encrypted frequency of this divine mystery. You guys follow me? That's what it's doing. And then we had the other one where the people in the parabolic channel. Because we got to put people as a parabolic channel. So we got to put people, parabolic channel. And then we have to put in we have to put in teaching frequency. We have to put in teaching frequency. So the people, parabolic channel, parentheses, teaching frequency. So through parables they're requiring covenant preparation to comprehend. So needing the spiritual frequency to adjust through obedience in humility to perceive divine instructions. Making the heart requiring calibration. So now our hearts require the calibration as the 432 frequency for spiritual innocence before comprehension can even become possible. You follow me? I'm talking this, it's not complex, it's pretty simple, but we just got to understand how everything works, because when we compare 432 hertz with the matrix of divine instruction, it's beyond hearing to comprehension. It's beyond hearing to comprehension. So the matrix, the principle operates within this vibrational hierarchy. This direct frequency, it transfers the spiritual preparedness that we need. It conceals frequency transmission for others. So all according to Jehovah's sovereign determination, spiritual readiness. So when we're looking at these frequencies, this sacred frequency of comprehension, dark sayings is why we have that issue. And we can get into that. So when you see dark sayings, you got to be on that same frequency. Everybody follow me. Just put eyes if you follow me. We have to be on that same frequency. So we're looking at that because to be heard, but to be comprehended at a circular level. We have to comprehend at a circular. So absorb with the spiritual DNA through 432 hertz that resonate, that promotes deep relaxation, emotional balance, spiritual awakening. This frequency helps to remove emotional blockage. It prevents the divine instruction from penetrating the heart. creating the internal condition necessary for true obedience. So when we're looking at this 432 hertz, it aligns with the natural rhythms of the universe. It's establishing this vibrational bridge between heavenly instruction and earthly application. So when the covenant seeker attunes their spiritual receiver to this divine frequency, the dark sands begin to decode themselves. Everybody following? It starts decoding itself, revealing the practical instructions of righteous living. So true comprehension of dark similitudes occurs when spiritual frequency shifts from intellectual analysis to obedient applications. You see how that goes? When we're looking at this 432 hertz resonates, it promotes the spiritual state necessary for this transformation. Meaning deep spiritual relaxation that releases the need to understand through carnal reasoning. 1, emotional balance that prevents pride from distorting divine instruction. That's all it is. Cellular harmony that allows divine truth to penetrate beyond surface hearing into transformative comprehension. But the main thing is, it tells you this. This is why this is so important. This is why this is so important. When we're looking at this harmonic, this attune, A-T-T-U-N-E, attunement to divine instruction. Why I keep using that? Because dark similitudes of Jehovah require more than just casual listening. More than just that. They demand, and it demands spiritual attunement to the 432 hertz frequency of divine order. So this sacred frequency, it serves as this vibrational key. It unlocks the encrypted wisdom, this shadow, this revelation. Actually, I want to tell you what, let's run here. I want to show you something. Exactly what I'm talking about. Just going to explain what I'm talking about. So we're going to look at this, and as I'm going in, I know it's 43. Yeah. So it's the same thing as when we're looking at this. In this sacred frequency, it serves as this vocational key is unlock this. The reason why I say that, because when Christ declared the ultimate dark speech, watch what he says. He says, "Why do ye not understand my speech? Even because you cannot hear my words." You can't get that frequency. It bothers people. You follow me? It messes people up. Because they're not on the same frequency. So this profound spiritual distinction emerges between those who hear and those who cannot hear. Many cannot hear because their spiritual receivers has been corrupted by artificial frequencies, their hearts distracted by the noise of synthetic provisions. Their minds is clouded with artificial intelligence. Their bodies is vibrating, is discordant frequencies through consuming even matters divorced from divine life. So if one cannot attune to the sacred harmonic sound of Jehovah's instructions, they are always going to remain in confusion. Darkness discovers the understanding. Hearing fails and brings the comprehension and leads to the covenant of obedience. But those who have opened their hearts and calibrated their spiritual ears to the divine frequency experience the miraculous transformation where the sound becomes clarity. Everybody follow me? I know a lot of people understand what I'm saying. People sitting there like, wow. They can get it. I'm pretty sure. I'm looking at the chat one, but I guarantee you a lot of people are getting it right now. But I'm just showing you how this comes together. You can see a lot of people will understand me. Then you have a lot of people who learning to understand me. But you have to open your heart, not to sit there just to believe what every word coming out of my mouth, but check the scriptures and make sure that I'm following that. He says, try the spirits. Try them. And see are they of God. See are they on that frequency from them prophets. See, are they on that frequency? So when the heart distracted by those noise, this synthetic thing that happens. But those who have opened their hearts and calibrated their spirit, their ears, and the frequency and spirits, these miraculous transformations where their sounds become clarity, shadows reveals light, their hearing blossoms, their understanding that fulfills the covenant righteousness that happens. So when we're looking at these spiritual attuned souls that can distinguish between Jehovah's voice calling them to the natural provision, and then you see in Satan's counterfeit voice promising artificial enhancements. You follow me? So only when our spiritual receivers are calibrated, only when our spiritual receivers are calibrated to this divine frequency, we can move beyond the surface noise of man's interpretation to receive the pure signals of heavenly instruction. So as we hear, all of us are here, we in this matrix. It operates through the same principle. Frequency discernment determines access. So these attuned to the 432 that resonate of spiritual innocence receives the direct transmission from Jehovah's throne. I know a lot of you guys understand me now. I promise you I know y'all understand me. Because I guarantee you that I promise you I know you understand me. See, this is why those who are operating on this frequency only receive the encrypted shadows that protect divine mysteries from profane misuse. We have to look at this. And we're going to take it a little bit deeper, because I said, I'm going to make sure you guys understand it. And same thing we're going to get on, but this is the perfect time to actually get into this. So we got to look at the spiritual laws, and the laws reveals itself. So I want to show you the same thing with artificial consumptions disrupt secular frequencies necessary for receiving divine communication. And what do I mean by that? Even GMO foods, GMO foods, laboratory meats, synthetics, nutrients, processed substance that creates verbal static and interference of the sacred 432 hertz that resonate through which Jehovah transmit his dark sayings through. Those who consume artificial matter gradually lose their ability to hear divine instructions. Did you know that? This is in reality. So while those who remain connected to the natural animated food preserve their spiritual hearing, they can receive the deeper mysteries encoded with the sacred similitudes. I'm going to break it down some more because I got some ends in here. I'm going to break it down some more because we got some ends in here. So we got to understand this spiritual communication. We got to understand this. So let's look at something. Let's look at this communicating, this dark saying. So when O becomes the carrier of waves, divine instructions transmitting their transformative power, only those whose heart vibrates in harmony with eternal frequencies, the covenant of even love is purified through obedience to Jehovah, this natural provision, and it protects from the frequency that disrupts the artificial creation that brings temples of human consciousness. And I'm going to explain that to you. I'm going to explain this to you. So we have to look at something. Remember we was talking about earlier, we was talking about the similitude of the Egyptian matrix opening. Remember I talked about that. I brought that up earlier. So we got to look at the hidden patterns of Pharaoh. Pharaoh means king of sin. So we got to look at his judgment. So we have to look at that. We want to put the two together. I want you to guys stay with me. Everybody got ends. I need you to stay close to me. Every one of you, stay close to me. Because I want you to understand what I'm doing, what I'm saying. So I want you to consider even the dark similitude embedded within Egypt's judgment. I want you to understand this. Because we got to look at Pharaoh. Don't never change what Pharaoh is. Pharaoh is king of sin. Don't change that. Keep that the way it is. Everybody with me? Keep it the way it is. See, Pharaoh, who claimed unlawful ownership over Jehovah's firstborn. He discovered his own matrix, the womb of his house was open in judgment rather than blessings. So the very mechanism he presumed would secure his dynasty became the instrument of his termination. So the same reversal similitude manifests in the modern age today. I want you to stay with me. Today. So we're looking at this spiritual pharaoh, this genetic manipulation. Everybody with me? So as we look at this, just as ancient Pharaoh, king of sin, actually, I want to tell you what, besides me keep saying it, let me put the Bible up here. Let me put this up here real quick. Let's put this up here. I got to put this up here. I just want to show it to you so you'll see it. You see that there? I want to make sure everybody understands this. In Pharaoh, we see it right. King of sin, king of bondage. I just want to make sure y'all see that. So you understand why I keep referencing king of sin. I just want you to understand that. So as we sit there and we get that, he's the king of sin. So when we're looking at the coveting people through forced bondage, and see, actually, I want to explain some stuff. I even hate to do it because, even though, I'm king in this house, but same thing is I still got a wife who will sit there, and when she get on a health kick and she want to eat certain foods, see, sometimes she just put me on the same health kick. I'm just telling on her. I'm just going to throw her under the bus and tell on her. Because if she get on these serious health kicks, then all of a sudden, I got to start eating watercress sandwiches too. She just do that. And I don't know why she do it. And I be sitting there, but she'll make me eat. She eating watercress, she going to make me eat watercress. She just do that. But besides that, but then she be sitting there, I want you to be healthy. I want you to be healthy. She do that. She do that. She do it. I'm just letting y'all know. Y'all need to talk to her. Y'all sisters, y'all talk to her on those days. Y'all talk to her. Talk to her. Talk to her about that. So what happens is this. What happens is this. When we look at this, and see, and I even hate to bring this part up because I know this is going to give us some ammunition, but I have to explain it. But it's going to give us some ammunition, but I have to explain this. So when you look at these reverse similitude, it manifests in modern age. So even those spiritual pharaohs, this genetic manipulation. So we're looking at this ancient pharaoh in today's time. So it is covenant in through this forced bondage of today's. We have genetic pharaohs who corrupt Jehovah's perfect creation through genetically modified organisms, which is GMOs. So not comprehending the long-term spiritual and physical consequences it unleashed upon the human and upon the body, it consume and alter the frequencies, which I don't want to explain, but I'm going to explain it anyway. So let's look at something. I want to show you something why this is such a big problem. We'll find this in Sirach. In Sirach chapter 38, and I don't want to show this. This is one I don't want to get into, but I got to be upfront. I have to be upfront with everybody. So we're looking at this. It's rooted in genetic corruption where it lies in humanity's refusal to seek, really, Jehovah's wisdom. And it's right here. It says, the Lord, the Creator. This is the Father. The Father have created medicines out of the earth, and he that is wise will not arbor them. I sure hate to explain this part today. I really do. I really, really, really do. But I got to do it. So this is what's going on. So before his creation, scientists do not seek to ask Jehovah the sacred reason why plants, fruits maintain the appointed lifespan once removed from the tree. So they don't even ask why the apple's circular matrix begins to decay in this process at the precise moment it separates from its life source. They choose not to seek understanding. They choose not to do this. And they choose also why animals grow according to their divine appointed. They time frames. Why do lambs reach its maturity in its season? Why do oak require decades to fulfill its purpose? So this represents this fundamental spiritual rebellion of man, that he improves upon divine design without consulting the divine designer. Y'all follow me? This is where the issue is. So rather than approaching Jehovah with humanity, with humility, to understand the sacred mathematics underlying creation in its timing, modern science proceeds to be presumptuous and independent on what they want to do, because they believe human intellect suffice to decode to enhance the mysteries of life. I want you to think about that. The same as what our guys been going through, and they were sitting there out in battle. Yeah, people who were doing this. So man would take it upon itself to genetically modify what they willed, splicing genes across species, berries that Jehovah never intended to be crossed, creating mythological abominations that carry within their secular metrics. It's here. We in it. So with this frequency signature of rebellion is against the divine order. To show you what I'm talking about, to make sure we get this, and I want to show you why I'm holding to what this is. You see in Genesis 1:31, it says, and God saw that everything that he had made, and remember, and behold, it was very good. It was very good. Everything he did, it was very good. So he established this, not only this perfect harmonic that resonates within all creation, but also this sacred, this chemistry of divine timing, this mechanism that governs growth, maturity, decay, and renewal. Each plant, each animal, each seed vibrates at its divine appointed 432 frequency. Now you follow what I'm talking about. And it follows its 432 frequency signature while operating according to its celestial timing patterns that is synchronized to this worldly rhythms. Now you follow me. This is what's going on here. So Jehovah embedded within every created thing, temporal wisdom. Let me explain that. Because the knowledge that when to sprout, think about it, to tell things when to sprout, when to bloom, when to bear fruit, when to rest, when to return to the earth, the lifespan detaches from fruit was not arbitrary. But it represents the spiritual principle of separation from the source. So just as the spiritual life diminishes when severed from Jehovah, physically invalidity decreases when the fruit is severed from the tree. You see what's going on. I'm not talking crazy here. You can see what I'm talking about now. So yet man operating under the order of Pharaoh. That's what they're doing today. We in the matrix. Don't let this fool you. So the spirit of Pharaoh, the king of sin, presumes to override the divine chemistry. So through these genetically modified things, human attempts to extend shelf life beyond natural design. Tell me they don't do it. It drives my wife crazy. It drives her crazy. How I know? I'm with her. It drives my wife crazy. It accelerates growth beyond appointed season. It creates perpetual harvest that violates the sacred rhythms to rest in the renewal that Jehovah built into creation. I'm telling you. So the contamination that he does. So when we're looking at these dark similitudes, it extends the judgment beyond man to encompass Jehovah's this companion creatures. Creatures that we have. You have many people who have dogs and cats. Think about it. to show you the contamination of Jehovah's, and then how they then contaminated even, you got a lot of people who love dogs, you got a lot of people who love cats, you got a lot of people who does those things. More power to them. I'm not just a lover of them, but, it is what it is. But you got a lot of people who love their dogs and cats. You got a lot of people here who love their dogs and cats. But he provided as what some people believe as helpers and comforters to mankind. So these innocent beings who has nothing to do with nothing, they created to only reflect divine loyalty, the covenant of faithfulness. That's what you'll see in those animals. Now, even today, they suffer the same disease plaguing their own human masters today through consumption of genetically corrupted foods. Today. Dogs now develop high blood pressure. Dogs develop diabetes. Dogs develop strokes. Dogs get cancers. Ailments virtually unknown in their species. We didn't even know they got that when we was kids because it was eating regular foods. But of these commercial pet foods laden with GMO corn, soy, and other genetically modified ingredients, cat experiences the similar afflictions today. Their once pristine cellular matrix now disrupted by foreign genetic frequencies. Think about that. They create these inflammatory that cascade these organs, dysfunctions, its immune system collapses. You can't tell me it's not true because you see it every day. We have more animal hospitals today than I ever seen. You got them almost on every corner. So when we're looking at these spiritual principles, it reveals itself with devastating clarity. So when man corrupts Jehovah's creation through genetic rebellion, the innocent suffers along with the guilty. That's what we go through. These companion animals who committed no sin against the divine order, but they bear their bodies the consequences of human this presumption, this shortened lifespans, chronic disease, and suffering, standing as living testimonies against genetic manipulation. Can't tell me it's not true because you see it daily. My wife and I, we used to stay next door to some people. I believe the dog had high blood pressure. I think he had glaucoma. He had all kind of, he had human ailments wrong with him. Pet food manufactured proudly declare, these manufacturers clearly declare they made food better. They made it better. Yet the evidence manifests the opposite. Organ damage, gut health destruction lead to leaky guts syndrome, disruption, increased cancer rates. When I was a kid, it was 1 out of 100 of people that contract cancer. Now it's 1 out of 3. Neurological disorders that mirrors, even today, most people don't know. Back then, autism was unheard of when I was a kid. Autism is a spectrum of disorder plaguing human children even today. I want you to think of something. The wild versus captivity. The wild versus captivity. The most profound witness against genetic corruption appears in the stark contrast between wild animals living in their natural habitat and captive animals confined in man-controlled environments. Wild animals consuming Jehovah's unmodified creation remains free of chronic diseases. Now, epidemic. You can even see in the domesticated animals they done put in the zoo. They got in there. You don't see animals in the wilds getting diabetes, high blood pressure, strokes, cancers at the rate that's observed in captivity. But as soon as humans capture them and place them in zoos, feeding them these processed foods, these GMO contaminated diets, these once healthy creatures contract the same diseases afflicting humans and pets that we have. Zoos now require veterinarian hospitals, with animals in constant need of medical intervention. This is a phenomenon virtually unknown before the widespread introduction of processed genetically modified feed represent the spiritual testimony of creation. Tell me I'm lying. Please, someone tell me I'm lying. Jehovah originated design, it functions as this perfect health, unaltered. The Lord created medicines out of the earth, and he that is wise will not offer them. The global testimony even goes against even here, America. America. Here. Tell me it's not true. I'll show you a liar. Because the global testimony is against American GMO products revealed even the worldwide recognition of spiritual and physical toxicity. Why? Many countries, me and my wife were one time out of the country, and watching on the news where this country refusing to even take the apples that was coming from America. Many countries reject American GMO exports, understanding that these genetically corrupt foods carry within them the seeds of disease, environmental destruction. Europeans that banned the GMO cultivation. Africa country refused GMO aid. Asian markets reject GMO imports, recognizing that genetically modified violates the natural law. It threatens the public health. These nations choose economic loss over genetic contaminations. And they want to tell you everything otherwise, demonstrating wisdom that America has abandoned the pursuit of agricultural profit. Why? Because they looking at money more than health. The international marketplace renders its judgment. GMO crops attract price penalties 10 to 25%, reflecting global recognition, and genetically modified products represent the inferior quality in the increased risk. Processed foods worldwide actively seek GMO-free. Tell me it's not true. I'll show you a liar. This is why now today we have all these Whole Foods, Trader Joe. We got all these alternative grocery stores where they supposed to have GMO-free foods. Tell me it's not true. I'll show you a liar. Because other than that, you just need just a grocery store. But now today you have these where they have these whole food places, and then the labels to, you have these who seeking GMO-free labels, and then you have these GMO manufacturers who sit there and try to go against to where they can't label it. They don't need to label it to protect their brand from consumer rejection. These dark similitudes showing you what this matrix is about. I'm just waking you up to it. So we have to look at these similitudes, this generic bond, this violate timing. So just as Pharaoh, king of sin, enslaved Jehovah people to build his empire on an unnatural time frame, forcing labor beyond human capacity, genetic pharaohs now enslave Jehovah creation to produce an artificial schedule. Now do you see the point? Now do you see the point? This is what we do. This is what we do. So when we look at this about everything, we have to look at the toxicities on what we get in here today. Artificial schedules, gene splicing. So we're looking at the this cellular matrix. It's here. These chronological frequencies that exist outside of the divine timing that gird the synchronize of all creation with this cosmic type order. Genetically modified corn plants that produces its own pesticide. It's crazy. 24/7 toxin schedule. Rhythm of protecting the rest of Jehovah's plant defense system. Just to show you more is this, show you what I'm talking about. In Luke 14:11. It says, whosoever exalts himself shall be abased, and he that humbles himself shall be exalted. You see it here. But what do we understand by that? What do we understand by that? So the spiritual principle reveals itself. Modern Egypt, the GMO industry, thinks to possess temporal mastery over biological process. But their matrix opens to reveal the chronological chaos, embodies the age prematurely immune systems that never rest, the cellular process that operates on a perpetual emergency mode all the time, never stops. Today we have incurable plagues, all behind genetic rebellion. All behind that. Today we witness the fulfillment of dark similitudes, unknown plagues that never can be cured because they result in genetic violation that cannot be undone. You're in a matrix. You need to be woke. Not walking around with people that, oh, we woke. No, you ain't woke. Understand what you're in. When man create novel proteins that never existed in Jehovah's original design, the human immune system encounter foreign invaders, which has no natural defense that exists today. So these incurable conditions emerges because they represent spiritual judgment rather than mere medical challenges. I was talking to a doctor the other day talking about something, same thing. Why I don't take vitamins? I just don't take them because they genetically are made by man. These incurable conditions emerges because they represent spiritual judgment rather than mere medical challenges. So even with these amino acids and everything, they develop as body attacks genetically formed substances that carry corrupted frequency signatures. Neurological, this degeneration, it accelerates its synthetic amino acids. The interference of divine neutral pathways, reproductive disorders, proliferate the hormonal disruptors in GMO foods that violate the sacred timing of human fertility cycles. Did you know that? These syndromes emerges as bodies struggle to process foods with alien genetic signatures. They operate outside the natural digestive rhythms that goes on. You have childhood cancers create exponentially as developing these cellular systems encounter growth factors. We're in a matrix. Understand where we are. This is an artificial timeline. Develop schedules. Autism spectrum, the disorders multiply. Neurological development become confused by dietary proteins that carry distant frequency patterns across species in genetic transfers. Our pets suffer the same identical thing. Their liver damage, kidney dysfunction, pancreatic disorders, reproductive failures, mirrors human crisis because they consume the same genetically corrupted foods that poison their masters. This is why we had a problem today. We're sitting here. You have scientists on what they did. Scientists failed to seek and understand why he established even sabbatical years of the land rest. People don't even know this. And the first thing we want to do is trust man. Seasonal cycles for planting and harvesting, generational patterns for animals breeding that bypass divine wisdom regarding why plants require winter, dormancy, before spring renewal. Spiritual principle of death and resurrection embedded in cultural cycles, why animals have mating seasons aligned with cosmic rhythms, divine synchronization between fertility in this celestial time, and why fruits even ripen at an appointed month in the sacred mathematics of solar exposure, soil preparation, and this nutritional optimization. I'm telling you, this is crazy. Why do decomposition refers to specific timelines? The holy recycling. Think about that. Elements that's back to the earth according to divine chemistry. Why some plants live for centuries and others complete their cycle in a season. Temporal diversity that creates ecological harmony through staggered life cycles. So instead of seeking divine consultation, we have to understand that modern science proceeds with rebellious presumptions, creating seedless fruits. I hate people. See, y'all done got me on a tangent right now. Y'all done put me on a tangent, but we got to look at this. Seedless fruits that violate the divine mandate to produce after their kind. Sterile hybrid animals that break the eternal covenant of genetic continuity. Plants that produce their own pesticides. These are violations of the natural symbolism between species. Animals that grow to market in weeks. Every chicken that you go to any fast food place, that chicken is less than 30 days old, rather than a divine appointed season. He ain't playing with us, but we here and there playing the game. Let's look at something. Let's go over here to Habakkuk. Habakkuk chapter 2:6. I have to get back on. I've even talked on this because it says, "Shall not these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increases that which is not his? How long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. How long?" We had these genetic pharaohs who they steal time from Jehovah to bypass his time and override his season to improve upon his chemistry. You got to understand why the matrix is open in temporal judgment. America GMO are rejected worldwide. And America is one of the leading people who do this stuff. Creating this economic testimony, genetic rebellion, international market imposed price penalties, genetically modified crops while consumers globally reject these foods. Genetic empires built on bio-slavery crumbs, and it crumbles as nations choose purity over profit. This disease is genetic manipulation that follows no natural healing cycle because they exist outside the divine pattern that governs recovery and restoration. So modern medicine will fail against the conditions because human knowledge cannot cure human pride. It's impossible. Created in rebellion against the divine order. So veterinary hospitals multiply as captive animals require constant medical intervention for diseases unknown in the wild. The global pet health crisis parallel human health epidemics. Genetically corrupted foods. They carry within their own molecular structure the frequency of rebellion against Jehovah's perfect design. Tell me about it. Tell me it's not the truth. See, when we open up the matrix, and we in it, we have to understand what we're doing. We have to understand what we done ran into. Let's look at something. I want to tell you about something. When we want to look at lab, artificial creation, I want everybody to understand what I'm saying. Artificial creation. See, this is an abomination of flesh without spirit. I don't care how we look at it, how we flip it, how we script it. Abomination of flesh without spirit. So today we even have lab-grown meat, an Egyptian matrix. This is the final rebellion that's going to be happening. So we have the laboratory cultivating today chicken breasts, beef without the chicken, or a cow. You can pull it up all day long. You have certain restaurants already selling it. This is the ultimate manifestation of this Egyptian matrix, where the final rebellion, wherein man presumes to create flesh in divorce from the divine breath that animates all living creatures. So when we're looking at this technological abomination of this ancient similitude, this bottomless pit, it tells us about it. Let's look at this. In Revelation, looking at chapter 9, picking it up at verse 2, actually I'm going to grab another one. I want to put another one with this. And I also want to put in Genesis 2:7. I want to do this one. In Genesis 2:7, so I won't get off track. So it tells you in Revelation 9:2, it says, and he opened the bottomless pit, and there rose smoke out of the pit as comparing the smoke of a great furnace. And the sun and the air were darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit. People sitting there, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? What are we talking about? So we got to understand what's going on here. These laboratories became these bottomless pits where artificial life emerges as spiritual smoke obscuring the clear distinction between divine creation and human manufacture. You follow me? You follow me? This is what goes on. This is what actually happens. So when we're looking at this, we want to understand why this goes on. So when Jehovah formed man, as he tells you, it tells you in Genesis 2:7, it says, and the Lord God formed man from the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. It tells you this right there. It's clear. He became a living soul. He established this eternal parable that flesh breathed life is mere clay. So yet the modern science operating under the spiritual Pharaoh, the king of sin, now creates tissue that never received breath, fulfilling this dark similitude. Actually, I'm going to show it to you. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. 2 Timothy, I want to show you this. Let me show you this. 2 Timothy chapter 3, we're going to take it from 2 to 5. It says, for men should be lovers of themselves, of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemer, disobedient of parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affliction, truth breakers, false accusers, innocent, fierce, despiser of those that are good, traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers and pleasure more than lovers of God. Having a form of godliness, that's your key. They're having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof. From such turn away. A lot of us don't. These laboratory creations possess the forms of flesh while denying the power of Jehovah animating breath. These bottomless pits. These bottomless pits. Actually, let's drop down to verse 6 over here. I want to show you something else. It says, in those days, men should seek death. I want you to understand this. Pay real close attention to this. Men should seek death. In those days, this already begun. Men going to seek death and cannot find it. That's a forethought, and shall desire to die, and death shall flee from them. People say, now, I don't get that. Don't worry, I'm going to explain it to you. I'm going to explain it to you. Don't worry about it. I'm going to explain it. Because when we're looking at this unleashing, this repercussions upon human health, consequences that operate outside the natural laws Jehovah have established for the healing and recovery, the technological transgressions now fulfills prophecy. We can transgress it and fulfill prophecy now. What are you saying? I'm going to explain it to you. Don't worry about it. I'm going to explain it to you. So we have to look at carnality. So when we're looking at this dark similitude that's right there, in those days, I'm going to highlight it. Men should seek death. I want you to understand one thing. See, when this happened, men is going to experience such profound torment and affliction from the evil men and wicked scorpions like, that their fleshly minds will reach a state of complete desperation. Carnal men will face with this unbearable suffering today. This is going to start, and it's already started. They're going to suffer unbearable suffering, and they're going to be searching for pursuits of ultimate escape. And the only way they're going to escape that is through death, as separation and destruction. And yet, he's going to find himself trapped in this supernatural prison where even his final stages of refuge is going to be denied. Flesh that once feared death from above all things now longs for this desperate appetite as deliverance, revealing how extreme suffering can invert this natural man instinct. Death, which was once presumed mankind as his greatest enemy, now they're going to use it as escape to depart from what they'll most definitely crave to be released of. Think about it. I want you to think about that. You got people doing that right now, and it's going to get worse and worse and worse. Let's look at something. We're going to hit this in Deuteronomy chapter 30, looking at verse 19. And we want to understand what's going on, because it tells us, it says, I call heaven and earth to record this day against you, that I set before you life and death, blessings and cursing. Therefore choose life, that both ye and thy seed may live. Exactly the point. Exactly the point. But then what you got to look at the spiritual side of this, because the parable reveals this profound spiritual truth. When man persistently rejects Jehovah's mercy and shows rebellion, they eventually reach a state that they cannot access the spiritual death that leads to resurrection. So denying the self brings life according to the laws of Moses. So Jehovah has set before man life and death, blessings and cursings. So yet these rebellious souls have so hardened their hearts that they cannot even choose the spiritual death, which many people don't, which many of us have not, to deliver them from their torment. So they seek the spiritual escape through their own efforts that cannot discover to obtain, but they refuse to die in their own will and now submit to Jehovah's sovereignty. We don't want to do that. So then spiritual death, now that brings peace and surrender of the divine authority, now that flees from you. So you would not humble yourselves under the almighty hand of the Most High. You see what's going on here? Let's look at something. Let's look at Deuteronomy 9:3. Well, no, we're going to do that 8:3. 8:3. I don't know why I said 9:3. 8:3. He says, understand, therefore, this day that the Lord, that the Spirit of God, thy God, he is that goes over before thee. He is a consuming fire. He shall destroy them, and he shall bring them down before thy face. So shalt thou drive them out and destroy them quickly, as the Lord has said, as the Spirit of God has said. But what do it say up there? In those days man shall seek death and shall not find it. So we have to analyze this. Look at this through the precept upon precept, the methodology that goes across law, prophets, and writings. So this verse actually reveals this ultimate consequences that will persist in rebellion against the Most High divine authority. Meaning this, we see in this foundational principle right here that we're looking at. Let me show you this. In 8:3, it says, for in that day the Lord thy God. Actually, we want 8:3. I don't know why I keep doing that. 8:3. He says, and he humbled thee to suffer thee to hunger and to feed thee with manna which thou knowest not, neither did thy fathers know, that he may make thee to know that man do not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeded out of the mouth of the Lord doeth man live by. Why did he say that? He's telling you this because he's going to explain it to you. We're going to see it through the mouth of Isaiah. And we see this in 55, 10, and 11. And we want to look at 55, 10, and 11. And he tells you this. For comparing the rain cometh down and the snow from heaven and returneth not thither, but to water the earth and to make it bring forth and bud, that it may give seed to the sower and bread to the eater. So shall my word go forth out of my mouth, and shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper into the thing whereto I send it. This is clear. This is clear. This showing that Jehovah's word accomplishes its purpose. Yet men resist to find themselves unable to access this basic spiritual function of repentance and surrender that could deliver them. So this writing to demonstrate even through Job's experience. Let me take this a little bit closer. Let's go over here to Sirach a little bit. 18:20. And it says, before judgment, examine thyself. And in the day of visitation, thou shalt find mercy. These rebellious souls have passed beyond the days of visitation. They have repeatedly rejected the spiritual death to self that could save them. So living, and as they leaving them entrapped in a state neither physical nor spiritual death can provide them relief from the desperately crave. The perfect judgment upon those who chose temporary pleasures over eternal submission to Jehovah's righteous authority. So we got to remember what's going on here. To maintaining these bodies, to understand what we are here to do, to understand that we came to do something that we had to make sure we hold on to. So as we, because this cat done caught me, because I had to explain some stuff, I got to do this another way. 1 second, I'm going to do something. This cat done caught me here. Because there's quite a few more, but what we're going to do, we're going to go through some things. Because we're going to take our time. I'm going to make sure you understand what we're into in this artificial matrix we have entered. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the time. We'll pick this up next week. Because if not, I'll be here about another 2 hours to make sure we can understand what we need to understand. So as I said, what we're going to do, we're going to finish breaking this down next week. But as I said, right now we have some of the brothers who wanna come over here, and we having some people who want to teach. I'm gonna have you come in the back. We have the announcements. Everybody who have registered for the Passover. I mean, not for the Passover, for the first fruits. Right now, it's open to everybody to, because the ones who eating, that's taken care of. So all the ones who just paying for the room, for the $75. The deadline is on the 22nd of August. We're going to speak on that as we go into back today. So make sure that is taken care of. And then from that, we're going to have class for the pretty woman. That will be going on back there. You'll see that one happening back there. We also will have a kids class for the King James Bible University. So you'll see both of those classes, they're going to be running simultaneously. But we have quite a list, and we're going to be going through people, and we already have the list on there. So if you're not on the list, you won't be a presenter, because I have a list of people that will be presenting. So with that, I ask that each and one of you guys, until we meet again, and same as I say on tomorrow, we have Deacon Ant with Bible therapy. So hopefully, with that we can connect there. But if not, until we meet again, I say to each and every person, until then, shalom.
Piercing eyes, secret way.